Let me ask you something right off the bat. When people talk about getting older, why does the conversation almost always end with the same two options? Either you stay in your home alone and hope nothing goes wrong, or you move into a senior living community where everything is decided for you. Meals, schedules, activities, even when the lights go out. It's strange, isn't it? Because there's a third option out there that almost no one talks about. And once you hear about it, it might completely change how you think about the years ahead. Today, we're talking about something called the village movement. And before you brush it off as another trendy idea, stay with me, because this isn't about giving up independence, it's actually about protecting it. In this video, we're going to talk honestly about what the village movement is, why it quietly started spreading across the country, and how it's helping thousands of people over 60 stay in control of their lives without moving into a facility or feeling isolated at home. So let's ease into this together by starting with a simple but powerful question. What if aging didn't mean leaving your community behind? What if, instead of moving away from everything familiar, you could bring support directly into the life you already love? That question is exactly how the village movement began. It didn't start with corporations or big buildings. It started with neighbors. Years ago, a group of older adults in Boston looked around and realized something. They didn't want to move into assisted living. They didn't want to feel like patients. But they also knew that completely doing everything alone forever wasn't realistic. So they asked, what if we helped each other stay right where we are? That idea turned into the first village. And here's the heart of it. A village is a local, member-run network designed to help people age in place, but not alone. You stay in your own home, you keep your routines, you keep your freedom, but instead of depending solely on family or paid facilities, you're connected to a community that has your back. Picture this. You wake up one morning and your knee is acting up. Driving feels unsafe. Instead of canceling your plans or struggling through pain, you make one phone call. A volunteer from your village gives you a ride. Another day, you need help changing a light fixture or figuring out a new phone. Someone local comes by. Not a stranger rushing the clock, but a neighbor who actually knows you. And here's the part that surprises most people. Villages aren't charity. They're not handouts. Members usually pay a modest annual fee, far less than assisted living costs, to support coordination, vetted service providers, and shared resources. In return, you get access to transportation, home maintenance help, tech assistance, social activities, and most importantly, human connection. Now, let's talk about something deeper, because this is where the village movement really stands apart. Loneliness. A lot of people don't realize this, but loneliness can be as damaging to health as smoking or obesity, and it sneaks up quietly. Friends move away, driving becomes harder, days pass with fewer conversations. Assisted living promises social life, but often it's structured, forced, and not personal. Villages flip that around. Social connection isn't scheduled entertainment, it's natural. It's coffee with someone down the street. It's book clubs, walking groups, shared meals, and casual check-ins. You choose what you join. You choose when you participate. No pressure, no name tags, just real relationships. And here's a little secret most people don't expect. Villages aren't only about receiving help, they're also about giving it. Many members volunteer their own skills. Maybe you're great at organizing. Maybe you've got a lifetime of experience fixing things, listening, teaching, or encouraging others. That sense of being needed, of still contributing, does wonders for confidence and mental health. Before we go any further, if this is already making you rethink what aging could look like, take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Not because it helps us, but because it helps you. This channel is all about sharing ideas that protect your independence, your dignity, and your choices as you get older. And the more you see this kind of content, the more you'll know you actually have. Now, there's another reason the village movement has stayed so quiet, and it's important to understand. It doesn't make anyone rich. There are no luxury buildings to sell, no glossy brochures promising resort-style living. It's grassroots, local, often run by the very people it serves, and that makes it powerful but also easy to overlook. As we continue, we're going to gently explore how villages actually work day to day, what kind of support they really provide, and why so many people say joining one gave them a sense of relief they didn't even realize they were missing. Because once you understand that part, the whole idea of aging starts to feel a lot less scary and a lot more hopeful. One of the most comforting things people notice after joining a village is how ordinary life suddenly feels lighter. Not because everything is perfect, but because you're no longer carrying every little worry by yourself. And that brings us to something many folks quietly fear but rarely say out loud: the slow buildup of small problems. Not the big emergencies, but the little things that pile up until they feel overwhelming. Think about it: a dripping faucet, a computer update you don't understand, a prescription pickup when you don't feel well enough to drive. None of these are disasters on their own, but when you're handling them alone, they can drain your energy and confidence. Villages are designed to step in right at that point, before stress turns into isolation, before frustration turns into fear. What usually happens is this: you call or email your village coordinator, sometimes just a part-time role filled by someone local. You explain what's going on, and instead of being told to figure it out or wait weeks for help, you're connected quickly. Maybe it's a trusted local plumber who offers discounted rates for members. Maybe it's a volunteer who's happy to stop by and walk you through your tablet settings. The key is that help feels personal, not transactional. Now, let's talk about safety, because that's another huge concern people have as they get older. Many assume the only way to stay safe is to move into a monitored building with staff on site, but villages approach safety differently. They focus on prevention and awareness, not constant supervision. Members often check in on each other. If someone hasn't been seen in a few days, a friendly call goes out, not to pry, but to care. There's something deeply reassuring about knowing that someone would notice if you disappeared from your usual routine. That kind of quiet watchfulness creates safety without stripping away independence. You're not being monitored, you're being remembered. Another thing that surprises people is how flexible villages are. There's no single mold. Some villages are neighborhood-based, covering a few blocks where everyone already knows each other. Others span entire towns or cities. Some are very active socially. Others are more focused on practical support. You choose how involved you want to be. You can attend every gathering or none at all. The village still works for you. And let's clear up a common misunderstanding. Joining a village doesn't mean you're admitting you can't handle life anymore. In fact, many members join when they're still very active and capable. They join early because they're planning ahead. They understand something important. It's much easier to build community before you desperately need it. It's like installing handrails before you slip, not after. There's also a financial side to this that deserves attention. Senior living communities often require large upfront fees, long-term contracts, and monthly costs that rise over time. Villages, on the other hand, usually operate on modest annual dues. Some even offer sliding scales or reduced fees. And because you stay in your own home, you avoid the emotional and financial cost of moving. But beyond money and services, there's an emotional shift that happens, and it's subtle but powerful. People stop feeling like they're waiting for the next stage of decline. Instead, they start making plans again. Trips, classes, new friendships. Not because they suddenly became younger, but because they feel supported enough to keep living forward. Here's a small story that captures this beautifully. One woman in her 70s joined a village after her husband passed away. She didn't feel ready for a senior community, but evenings felt long and quiet. Through her village, she joined a weekly dinner group,
Nothing fancy, just a few neighbors rotating homes. Over time, those dinners became anchors in her week. She later said it wasn't the meals that saved her, it was being expected somewhere. That feeling of being expected, of belonging, is something many people don't realize they've lost until it comes back. Villages create that without pressure, without uniforms, without institutional walls. As this idea continues to unfold, it becomes clear that the village movement isn't about avoiding aging, it's about reshaping it, about choosing connection over isolation, preparation over panic, and community over confinement. And as we keep talking, we'll naturally move deeper into how people find or even start villages, and what it really takes to make this kind of support system work in real life day after day.
At some point, almost everyone asks the same quiet question. This all sounds wonderful, but is it actually realistic for someone like me? And that's a fair question, because the village movement isn't about perfection, it's about practicality. It works not because everyone involved is extraordinary, but because ordinary people choose to stay connected. Many people discover a village simply by searching for one in their area or hearing about it through a friend. Others don't find one at all, and here's where things get interesting. Some of the strongest villages didn't exist until a handful of neighbors decided to create one themselves, not as a big project, not as a business, but as a shared agreement. We'll look out for each other, we'll pool resources, we'll ask for help when we need it and offer it when we can. Starting small is often the secret. A phone list, a monthly coffee meetup, a shared list of trusted service providers. Over time, those simple steps grow into something solid. And the beauty of this approach is that it respects personality. If you're outgoing, you'll find plenty of chances to engage. If you're quieter, you can stay mostly in the background and still know support is there when needed. Another concern that comes up is family. Some people worry that joining a village might make their children feel pushed aside or unnecessary. In reality, many families feel relieved. Instead of being the only safety net, they become part of a larger one. Adult children often say they sleep better knowing their parent has local eyes and ears, especially if they live far away. It's also worth saying this out loud. Needing support does not mean losing dignity. In fact, choosing how you receive help is one of the most dignified things you can do. Villages are built around choice. You decide what you accept. You decide when you ask. There's no checklist forcing you into a category. As we bring this conversation together, take a moment to notice how different this feels from the usual aging narrative. There's no talk of giving things up, no countdown to dependency, just a shift in how support is shared. Small changes, big impact. If this idea resonates with you, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Have you seen something like this in your own community? Or maybe you've already been living this way without calling it a village. Share your experience in the comments. Your story might be exactly what someone else needs to hear today. And if this video has been helpful, go ahead and like it and subscribe to the channel. We're here to explore smarter, kinder ways to age with independence and confidence. And there's so much more to talk about. Remember, growing older doesn't mean shrinking your life. With the right support, it can actually mean expanding it in ways you never expected. Here's to staying connected, staying curious, and living fully right where you are.